Hello parents, welcome back. In this Jetpack Compose tutorial, we'll learn about rows and how to utilize it to create simple yet elegant UI using rows and columns building blocks only. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's create here a new file, and we're going here to right click and create here a new Kotlin file. And we have to select here file and not class. So we are going to call this and inside here, you can use the row keyword to create a row. And if you press here Ctrl Q, it's going to fetch up the documentation. Now it's arranging the children in horizontal sequence format. As you can see here, it takes the parameter similar to the column. It takes in modifier, horizontal arrangement, and vertical alignment, which is different from the column that it took the vertical arrangement and not the horizontal arrangement. And here we have the vertical alignment also. So we can use this to place and position our child differently. So right now here we have created this inside here. We want to create that UI. So first and foremost, we are going to create first that text, which is displayed in terms of columns. So we're going to use columns. If you don't know about columns, I encourage you to check the video above, which I'm going to link it, so that you can learn about columns. And if you don't know about horizontal arrangement and vertical arrangement, I encourage you to watch that video first. And now let's create here a new composable. So you can write just comp here, and we are going to create this and call it my text. Now we have to create here a default modifier. And you have to choose this one modifier, and we are going to assign it to a default modifier. And we're going to use this modifier, and then I'll show you later why we are going to keep it here. Now, inside here, we can create a column. And inside here, we have to pass now our text. Now, I'm going to pass in here text. Now we can pass in here. We can try to style this composable by using the style here argument. And we are going to use the material. We want to change the type of typography, which we are going to use here. So you're going to use a material themes, and we are going to call this typography, and then we're going to use this header 6. So basically here, what we are doing here, we are changing the style, and we want this typography to select the headline 6. And we can try to create here font weight, for example, then we can set here to wow. And also we have to limit this in order so that it can be a long title. So we have to limit this to only one line. So we're going to use this max line, and we're going to pass in 1. Now, if the text will be trimmed, we have to show that there is more text to the user. So we are going to use a overflow here parameter, and inside here we can specify that there is ellipse, or we can clip or show anything. So we're going to use ellipse here in order to show that there is more text which is coming. So as you have seen here, we have used this. Now I'm going to create another text here. As you can see, we are using this length composable, and we have used the style, the material body 1 here instead of header 6. And these are similar to this one here. And also here, I have passed in here the material themes and the body 2. And we are going to use the max line 1 and text overflow to ellipse. And I have changed the color to gray. As you can see here, there are different parameters which you can pass into stylize according to your preferences. Now we can try and call this my text inside here. And right now here, we have created our text. Now we have to create that profile icon which we have shown. Let me just bring this in order to get a room here. Now we are going to call this my profile. So create here icon, and we are going to call this my profile. And basically here, what we are creating, we are using a surface. So this surface is going to be a placeholder. So if there is no image or profile image, and for now, we're going just to use this profile, but you can try to load the image from URL or anywhere. So right now we are using just this surface, and inside here we can pass in a shape. For example, here we can pass in shape and specify that we want this to be a circular shape. Now we have to provide also a size. So we are going to use a modifier here, and we have to pass in here a default modifier, and we can use here this modifier, and then we can specify a size. So we are going to get a size of 50p, and you have to import this. And now we can specify here also color. So we are going to use red. Now, as you can see here, we have created a simple surface here inside. And we are going to use a column in order to create or to center that child in the center. And we're going to use this column. So for example, here we are going to use column. And we can use here the vertical arrangement. So we can center this, the center. Also, we can pass in a horizontal. And we can pass in here alignment, and we are going to center it horizontal. So we are going to center in the child at the center. Now we can pass in here text, for example. And we are going just to pass in here H. We can change the color of this text. And we can set this to color white. And we can change here the font rate to bold. Something new. Now, as you can see here, we are using here a column, and we are centering this vertically inside here. So let's try and call here my profile. Let's try and preview here. So we have not created here a preview function. So we can try by calling just prev and create a preview function, and we are going to call this my preview. And inside here, we are going to call this function here my row. Our preview is finished, as you can see here, but it's not spaced correctly, and we're going to fix this in just a moment. So let's finish and create here the last part here that display the time, and we're going to create here another composable. You can just write here comp, and we're going to call this. And then let's create here default modifier. And then inside here, we're going to use the column. So we can pass in here, for example, the text. And we can change the color here. And then we can set. And use chill inside to stylize here. And we can pass in icon. And inside here, in this icon, we're going to pass in going to use the icon. And you have to use this 100x. And inside here, we are going to call this outline. And also, we have to select the star. So basically here, we're getting an image vector of an outline. And we can set up this content description. Now, basically, we have created here. So we can try to align this. For example, here we can use the vertical arrangement. Also, we can align this chart by using the modifier here inside. And we can send this to the end. So now, basically here we are creating this, and we are going to arrange it to the end. And also we have to pass in here the modifier. We are going to use this in just a moment here. And we can try and call this modifier inside here. So we can call here my and that. Now let's preview here and we can try to rebuild here. Right now, as you can see here, there is nothing which is showing here, and we have provided there because this text is going to push forward that another text. So we can fix this by using those default modifiers which we have been passing inside here. And for example, here we have to use this modifier. And now inside here, we're going to create another file. And we are going to call this modifier. And we're going to specify here another modifier. And inside this modifier, we're going to pass in the weight. So we are going to use the weight in order to provide a room for others so that all of the text there can be shown inside here. So for example, here we can pass in a modifier. We are going to use 1F. So here, this is the throat data type, and here we can pass in another modifier. And we want this text to occupy here the largest, and we don't want this icon here to fill up the whole space. So we are going to call this fill and set it to false. Also here we can pass in this modifier. Basically here we can pass in 1F in order to note this here. Now, as you can see here, let's try and rebuild and refresh your preview and see. Now, as you can see here now, yes, that's good. And there is a space here and space here. And because we have used these parameters, the horizontal arrangement, and we have tested this evenly, and we have used the modifier, yes, to fix up the whole width. Now we can try to create a list of this one, and we are going just to do this right now here. And we can create, for example, let's just try and collapse all of these on, and we can create here my screen. And down below here, for example, we can create another composable, and we can call this my screen. And inside here now, we can create a column. And inside this column here, we can create, now we can call that my row. And we can use that. We can use a divider, and this one is the built-in composable, which you can pass in a divider, which is going to divide this in a row. For example, here we can pass in color. Yes, black. And we can use here black. And also we can provide the thickness, and we're going to use this to the key. Now inside here, we're going to create a row, and we can call here a repeat function. So this one is going to repeat it just 10 times, and it's going to produce the same result. So it's going to produce these 10 results, which are being divided by this divider. So let's preview here, and inside here, we can call this my screen. And let's preview it. Now this is our preview here because we have repeated this 10 times, and it has created these rows inside here. Now, we're just creating this inside here, and you can just, for example, here in later videos, we're going to create by using list data, and we are going to create a dynamic UI. Now, let's navigate here to main activity and call this my screen here, because right now we are just, if we wrote our app, it's just going to display this greeting inside here. So let's delete this greeting here and call my screen. And right now here, we are creating this composable function, and we can try to run this and see it in our app. So as you can see here, the app is complete, but there is no top up bar. So in the next videos, we will create a top up bar and make the content scrollable. So for now, let's leave it here. See you in the next video.